doing? Welcome to the live stream of consciousness. Hope you... There's the train whistle, Biltmore Village. He's a little early. The 7:30 out of Biltmore is a little early. Welcome, everybody. I was just playing some various cuts there, some music, so you could hear that I was just kind of sampling some different music because I'm allowed to... There's a library that I get as with access with the Podcave platform, and so I get access to these like different kinds of music, and so I was just kind of screening some because I have let that kind of lapse. Do you not hear that train? That's crazy. All right, let's see. Welcome aboard. Let's see who we got. Andy, what was the best April 1 joke Pete has played on you? Well, I mean, I like to tell this story in that, I mean, it's not April Fool's joke, but I mean, I did make sure I proposed to her before she got the LASIK vision correction. I did make sure of that. Well, first I made sure she didn't believe in divorce. Then it was, right. Nicole, welcome. Howdy. Jeremy, what is up? Welcome. Janet, ready for another informative evening? Oh, hate to see you go then, Janet. Sorry. I kid. And I guess, as always, I have to ask. I hope the audio is okay. Hope everybody can hear this okay. I'll make sure that the microphone is up loud. On the download, also in a meeting. Don't rat me out. Okay. Told him I'm adjourning at 7. Maybe this is an April Fool's joke, and he hasn't come on yet. Oh, this is from before. Okay. So, yeah, these are just the music clips. Howdy. Let's see. It's bounced ahead. So, Gene, welcome. And Peggy, howdy. Welcome. And Newbie, hey. I have an appointment for vaccine tomorrow. The JJ one-shot. Good luck with that, Andy, because you saw what happened with all of the Johnson & Johnson shots. Like, there's like 15 million doses that got ruined in the manufacturing process, and so that's pretty disappointing. Nick, what's up? Welcome. Peggy, getting my second Moderna tomorrow. I'll tape my Vax card to my forehead. Hello, Terry and Crypto and on. Welcome. Ray, welcome. Happy Thursday, Kayak 7 Seas. And yeah, Christy got her first shot and on Friday. And right, we're going to get her a t-shirt that says that. I got the vaccine, leave me alone. Hey Eugene, happy Thursday to you too, sir. I really hate the mask. Tips hat to lamp. Lamp is doing well. And Kathy, howdy. All right, so tonight, I'm sorry I didn't get the message out earlier on Patreon just because the Patreon site crashed. It was down for a while, and so I was like, I finally got the thing up and running when I sent that message. That's literally the first time it had gotten, I got through to the host. So, I apologize if this is not streaming on the Patreon platform. It doesn't have to, obviously it's on YouTube, but that's usually where I run it through. This is the first Thursday of the month, and so this one is the one that's open to the Facebook organization, the Facebook group. And the reason why I'm not doing it on Facebook is because every time, or I should say the last 2 or 3 times I tried to use the Facebook live streaming platform, it broke my board and then my microphones. So I'm not using it anymore. I refuse to use it anymore. Ben, welcome. Mr. Smith, good evening. Welcome. So yeah, this one is open to everybody in the Facebook group, and I did not realize that. If I had earlier, I would have posted it up earlier. But I also recognize, look, this is the Thursday before Easter weekend. A lot of people have tomorrow off. Me coming out of the radio industry, I don't know what a Good Friday off means. Actually, I remember when Christy and I first started dating, and when did I got a job. I got a job. Because we started dating, and then I got onto the evenings, and I was doing 9 to midnight as a host. I went from being a reporter to a host when we were dating and then engaged and married. I don't remember exactly when, but I remember it was like the first July 4th that I did not have to work. Because when I was at WRHI in Rock Hill, and even before that, actually, when I worked at restaurants, like we always worked, like restaurant workers, we worked. And then in radio, we worked all the holidays. And then I moved to WBT, worked all those July 4th because they would do the big, fireworks show and all of that stuff. And then when, I guess it was after they had the riots uptown during one of the fireworks shows and, it was after, and then they moved it to the baseball field like the next year or something, but WBT quit doing it. And so that year I remember we were like, well, what do you want to do for July 4th? It was like a Saturday. And I was like, I don't have any traditions. Like my tradition was to go work. That's what I always did for all my holidays. See where some experts say second vaccination is really just an extra. Well, it gives you a little bit extra. It's the different. Yeah, it's like the first one will get you like 70% effectiveness or whatever on the vaccine, and then like the second dose gets you up to like 95% or something like that. So yes, even at the one dose, even if you don't get the second, you still have some more immunity. I worked in movie theaters for 20 years, still not used to July 4th off. Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like you just do it and you don't kind of. It does kind of stink sometimes, but there are people like work all the holidays and then, you get these other days off in exchange. But, I guess you do develop some traditions. They're just work related. Hey, Noonan, it's okay. It's totally fine. There's no structure to any of this. People come in, they go. There's no need to feel pressure to arrive at 7:00. Now, if you're not here by 7:10, then we just shut the door. No, I'm kidding. None of that's true. Don't know what to do on Black Friday. Oh, I bet. God. Ugh. Yeah, I did a stint in retail. I was not a fan. But ended up working like everyone. Yeah. That was one of the things when I got to WWNC in Asheville, because my producer, Tank, was hourly and I was contract. And so if I were to work, I needed my board op to work, and that would mean they'd have to pay him the holiday pay, and they didn't want to pay him holiday pay, so he was off. And so I didn't have a producer, so I would get the holiday too. And it was the first time for for the last 8 years, I was really lucky. Like I'd worked in radio and I got all of these standard holidays off. I was like, so this is what it's like to work at a bank. That's crazy. Or government, right? All these days off. You get so many days off. That's nuts. And then, of course, last week, Christy and I I was going through doing, so we're doing some planning for what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks here. And because I got some fill-in work. So like tomorrow, by the way, I might be filling in for Vince Coakley again, WBT in Charlotte and WORD in Greenville, South Carolina. I'm just kind of on standby right now because they sent me a message at like quarter to, I saw it at like 10:15. It said, hey, can you fill in for Vince? So obviously it was an emergency of some kind. And I was like, I can't. So, but then like, well, how about tomorrow? Can you be on standby just in case? So I said, let me check. And yes, I can. So I'm on standby for that. But tomorrow's Good Friday, and then Monday is Easter Monday, and then Tuesday I'm filling in for Brett Winterbull, 3 to 6 WBT in Charlotte again. So whenever I do fill-in work like this, and this is when, over the last year, I learned I can't do more than about 2 days back to back. It's just very difficult because, the priority is the podcast, and in making sure that is the priority, I've got to work ahead, and anything more than 2 days ahead starts getting really difficult. So that's what we've been looking at doing for the next 2 weeks. Also, we have family coming in from out of town, and I want to make sure I've got a day or two off with them. Anyway, so Christy and I were going through, and I'm putting together some of the best of shows that are going to load up next week. So spoiler alert, there's going to be, I like to call them repeats. And look, if you haven't heard them, they're new to you. But so there's a couple of them. I try to keep them, they're obviously not, I'm not using anything that's really dated, really old. So, I can tell. That's all right. Doesn't matter. So I'm going through this stuff, and I'm talking to Christy, like going through how many episodes that I do and what kind of shows, and as I'm tallying it all up, and I said I've only taken 3 days off last year, and she says, yeah, that's about right. So anyway, that's gonna be. That's on deck for next week. I'm taking a couple days off. I'm going to fill in for Brett Winterbull on Tuesday. And then when I say take days off, it just means I'm going to have some essentially best ofs, but some, repeats, as I call them, that are going to run. And see, if I call it repeat, it's kind of cool. And you want to listen to the whole thing again, right? Maybe not. All right, we'll see. But it's good. I need to take some time off. I really do, because after a year of just straight, 15-hour days, it's gotten to me. So you can tell. Like I look at my eyes now. Look, it's like permanently, like bloodshot and puffy underneath, and also need to take some time off. See where some experts say second vaccination is really... Okay, there I was. I worked in the movies. Right. July 4th is a holiday. Even one, everyone. Autocorrect. Growing up, my dad was a Woolworths manager. What was Woolworths? I mean, or is Woolworths? I know it was a huge chain, right? Down south here, I think, but I don't... Do they have... I don't know. Maybe it was up north too. I don't ever remember hearing about it until I came down here. So that was 92. Is it like a lunch counter? Is it a 5 and dime? Do people call them 5 and dime? We had a 5 and 10, 5 and dime in our Suffolk stores is what it was called. The 5 and 10. Didn't see him at all between Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve. Woolworths. Okay, so was it a department store? I know the feeling, and I was the grunt. Look how many people could have been protected at 70%. Yeah? Well, so they're learning. And this is one of the things, like, you're trying to run... First off, it's GovCo, right? It's government running a mass vaccination program and trying to do it fast and fair, as Mandy Cohen and Governor Cooper call it, right? And so with this constant focus on the color of people's skin, on making sure that the arms look like the people of North Carolina, and it's all equally proportionate and everything. So I understand that's politics. They're doing that. I don't like it, by the way, but I understand what is driving that protocol, that prioritization list. The problem, I think, is that, and what do I know? But the problem, I think, is that it's too complex. Because Christy she's been eligible for a while because she's technically a frontline worker as a paralegal working in the court system. So, frontline worker. By the way, media is frontline worker if you interact with the public, so that rules me out. Like, I try to interact with the public as little as possible. That's just... I kid. See, I need this, or maybe I'll just leave my hand here the whole time, so you never know when I'm going to hit the rim shot. Because if you could see me move my hand, then the joke is coming. And it kind of gives away the punchline. Anyway, this is going to get really tiresome. I need to get the board right here. It's all going to get redesigned. All of this is going to get redesigned because we're moving into our new house in a couple months. We're still a couple months away. But it's going to get all this is going to get redesigned. I'm going to put some of the logos behind me for the sponsors of the show. Anyway, big plans. Lots of stuff happening at any rate. What was I saying? How many people can be protected at the site? So you heard what happened with the mass vaccination site in Greensboro? So they tried these mass vax sites, and the idea being, all right, let's get an arena and just tell everybody to come, and we'll just start jabbing as many people as possible until we run out of vaccine. And like I joined Casey O'Day for his show in Raleigh a couple of months ago, and he asked like when they started this up, and he was like, "So what do you think about this?" I said, "Look, try it. Like this is I've said this from the beginning. Like we're practicing battlefield medicine on this stuff. Like you either believe that or you don't, right? And I believe it because it's a new coronavirus. People are trying different things. The key though is see if something works, and if it does work, okay, keep doing that. But if it doesn't work, move on, right? The problem is that you got people who are like, oh no, don't do that. Like with hydroxychloroquine, for example. No. Well, here's another one. Look at this. Ivermectin. Have you heard of this drug? So Wednesday, the World Health Organization updated its guide on therapeutics and COVID-19. Under ivermectin, the meta-analysis shows an 81% drop in mortality among those who used ivermectin as opposed to standard care. It also shows a 64% decrease in hospitalization. So to me, battlefield medicine, let's start pumping out ivermectin. It's pretty, it's like readily available. It's been around for a while. It's safe. Like, let's start using that. But the World Health Organization says, no, we can't endorse it because the confidence level is low. Because apparently an 81% drop in mortality, and this is what I played that audio from that Dr. Peter McCullough, right? And when he testified at the state Senate hearing in Texas, and he talked about how you get a diagnosis of COVID-19 and they just send you home. And like, because he got it, his wife got it, his father got it, nursing home. And like, they were just like, well, you got COVID-19, go home, rest 2 weeks. We'll see if you go to the hospital. Because if you go to the hospital, then you might die. Like, that was the standard of care they sent him home with. Like, why would you not send people home with some sort of a plan? Like, here are some drugs. Here's how you're going to treat this. Instead of like, okay, we'll take some aspirin or something, monitor your fever. And then if you get really sick, you'll go to the hospital and maybe we'll put you on a ventilator and maybe you live. Good luck. That's insane to me. He says all these doctors and he's a doctor himself and he's treated COVID patients. And he said that they lost sight of the patient in front of them. And what I kept hearing as I'm watching this guy is this is so similar to the Lyme disease. Because the way this is unfolded with, you have the sort of like the medical community and all these experts, and they're like, no, Lyme doesn't exist after 2 weeks. Like, here's your battery of antibiotics or whatever, right? Here you go. You take your meds, penicillin or amoxicillin, whatever, for 2 weeks, and then it's done. It's all gone. Well, there are people who claim that they have that did not work for them, or they needed more of it, or whatever. They like these people who have like long-term Lyme disease, and the experts say that doesn't exist. Like so this was now going back, 15 years ago, I want to say, and there was a doctor in North Carolina, in Charlotte. I had him on my show at the time, 3 hours, had multiple people call in, interviewed some of these people that had Lyme disease. There was a whole documentary made about it. Not my show, but Lyme. And it's called Under Our Skin. But the doctors took, or the North Carolina Medical Board took Dr. Jemsek's, that was his name, Jordan Jemsek maybe, took his license because they said he was overbilling. He was charging the insurance companies, which he was, for the medicine, because he was like a leading HIV doctor, and somebody shows up with Lyme and he treats them because the patient comes in, he treats the patient. And he's like, okay, you got this problem, I'm going to give you this drug. You got this problem, I'm going to give you this drug, right? And he just treats the symptoms. And then he starts, here's another patient with Lyme. Oh, okay, well, you got this, all right, boom, boom, right? And he starts doing this. And all of a sudden, it's like all these Lyme patients start showing up. And one of them finally says to him, don't worry, I won't tell anybody. And he's like, what are you talking about? He had no idea. Apparently, it's like there are people that say it doesn't exist. Like, there's a big debate, apparently. Like, it doesn't exist. That it's all in these people's minds. There was a girl I interviewed as part of that show, and she went to Duke University, and the doctors at Duke said, they said Lyme disease doesn't exist down here. You don't get that down here in the South. How do you get that up north? This is what one of the doctors said to them. Like, and then she had like paralysis of her intestines from this spirochete kind of bacteria, germ or whatever. And it's the same thing, by the way, that's like that, syphilis and Alzheimer's. These spirochetes is what they called it, if I remember correctly. It's been, all right, it's been like 15 years since I did this story. So anyway, the point of all of this is that the stuff I'm hearing about the refusal to treat the patient in front of them because of whatever pressure is being exerted from wherever, right? Like, it sounds a lot like the Lyme folks. It does. It sounds a lot like what happened with Lyme disease, and still does, apparently. Although, because they ran Gemsec out of North Carolina, he then set up operation down at Fort Mill, I want to say, and then he went to the D.C. area, and I actually looked him up because I tried to get him on my show when I landed in Asheville. Within the first year or two, I tried to get him on the show, and his office said he is not doing any talks about Lyme. Just shut it all down. And I was talking with a friend online a couple of days ago, maybe a week or so ago, about this very thing. And I mentioned the doctor. And so out of curiosity, I was like, I wonder what he's up to. And I looked him up, and he's now gone back into it. And so now he's got like treating Lyme patients. So I don't know, maybe something happened with, the world of Lyme, in the Lyme world. And maybe he's now back doing this again. But he was like one of the leading infectious disease doctors. Like I said, he was very well known for his work in the arena of HIV and AIDS. And then he started doing this Lyme stuff, and they burned him to the ground. So, like, that stuff does happen. So, and the ivermectin stuff, this is like, so you're telling me there is a drug that is 81 that can lead to an 81% drop in mortality, and you're not using it, right? Like, this gets to that, remember North Carolina, the U.S. Congress just did not just, but when Trump was president, they did the right to try. And I'm fully on board with that. If you tell somebody they're dying, and we have some pills, we have some medicine, some whatever protocol that it might help you. Maybe. You have the option then to say, you know what, I'm going to die, I'll give it a shot. It's a 1% chance or less than 1, I'll give it a shot. Because at the very least, if it doesn't work, I'm still going to die anyway, but at the very least, now you've got some body of evidence to research, right? You've got some reactions. You can say, okay, well, we gave it to this patient, this is what happened. And so you either believe that we're trying to practice battlefield medicine, or you don't. And if you keep telling me that this is the worst, pandemic in 100 years and it's killing all of these people and all of this stuff, then I'm going to take that to mean we need to try whatever we can try. Hence, to bring it all back home, the vaccination clinics, you open up at the Greensboro Arena, whatever it was, and they were going to vaccinate, 1,000 or 10,000 people, whatever. And KCO Day on the radio, he asked me, like, what do you think of this idea? And I said, do it, go for it. Let's see if it works. Apparently it hasn't worked so well. So, and they're shutting them down. Kudos to them. Like, good. Like, not good that nobody's doing it. That's not good. But like, good that they're adapting, that they're saying, okay, people aren't doing this. So instead of just, maintaining this bad model, let's shut that down and find one that works, which, surprise, surprise, people would prefer to get the vaccine from their doctor. Isn't that amazing? Yes, from their doctor, from their local pharmacist, which I was told by a listener a couple of weeks back that, hey, I was over at a particular grocery store chain that shall remain nameless, but is very prevalent in Western North Carolina, and they do not have the vaccines to be giving out. And so somebody that it came up in the North Carolina politics hashtag on Twitter. I mentioned something about that, and I tagged this. Well, it was Ingalls. Okay, so I tagged Ingalls, and they responded that they've just been approved to now start doing this. So, like, think about that though, right? Like, it was a supply issue, but think about how many people use Ingalls, and how fast you could vaccinate people if you're just putting them in arms as people come into grocery shop, right? Like, that seems to be a pretty good idea, to me at least. And I think the complexity of their protocols was, I think is a deterrent. Because as I said earlier, Christy, she went looking because she's frontline, so she got her first one. And so I was like, oh, I wonder, like, I don't think I am, but let me just double check. And so I went on the website that Mandy Cohen's always talking about, get your shot, save your spot, whatever. And I looked it up. And first off, the thing hadn't been updated in almost a month. And like, I know there are different groups that are available. So you start reading through all this stuff and it's like, well, are you this and you that and this thing and you're got to be over here and this subgroup and all this other stuff. It's just kind of like, oh, forget it. I'll just wait till they open up to everybody. So that's where I'm at. I'm just going to wait till they open it up for everybody. And then I will get it. I am going to get the vaccine. And I want to space it out so when Christy, so she gets her second one, because in case she had any negative side effects, I didn't want to get it and both of us be down with it. Although, because I guess I could lie and go in there and be like, yeah, I'm a frontline worker. And they don't care. But I think if they had just said, you know what, let's focus all the vaccines on, nursing homes and anybody over the age of 55. Like just that's it. Like, and just do it by age groups and then just kind of work down by age groups. I think they would have been able to move a lot faster. But look, comparing America to the rest of the world, we're doing really well. Compared to everybody else. We are. Like, getting vaccines into people, we're doing a better job than most other countries. So, I thought that's great. Now I get 10 holidays. Wow. 2 floating holidays, discretionary time off, which means I work 365.25 days a year. Glad you're doing the repeats. Thank you, Peggy. I'm grouting tile and listening to Pete. Nice. So is it floor tile or is it backsplash tile or is it shower tile? Because floor tile is the worst. Backsplash is better, I think, because you get to stand up when you do it. You've earned some time to yourself. Thanks. Well, it's not really to myself, Nick. I have to spend it with family, but whatever. Self-care is important. Take the time off. Yes. Well, it's honestly, it didn't, like, I now feel it. It's been a year, and frankly, I'm kind of surprised that I was able to run so far, so fast for so long before it kind of caught up to me. Although I did take some, it took like 2 days around Christmas, and then I think there was one day at Thanksgiving. So, I was able to, to do this because, when you're doing the work that you love, and I do, it's like, it doesn't really feel like work. honestly, like, this isn't very difficult. It's taxing to some degree mentally, but it's not, it's not backbreaking work. I'm not stooped over from digging ditches. I may be stooped over from staring at a screen, but that's it. Woolworths was Walmart, but okay. A 5 and 10. Okay. It's a 5 and dime, kind of like JCPenney's or Macy's. Okay. What self-care? Nationwide, we're in all the cities, so just like Suffolk store, it was a Woolworths first. Okay. Christy saves lives. When has GovCo ever done anything effectively or efficiently? War. Right? Rush Limbaugh's old adage about the military, right, is there to kill people and break things. It's very effective at doing that. So, but that's about it. But yes, now translate that into every other thing it touches and you got problems, right? Because that's what it really does well. I'm eligible, but it doesn't make sense to get it when my wife can't have it yet. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, so there's this big push to get everybody to do it. Everybody has to get the vaccine, and I understand why everybody wants to go. But like, until we get to a point where the supply is larger than the demand, like, all of this talk about everybody has to get it, just kind of seems premature, don't you think? We don't even have enough to give to everybody, and you're like, make sure everybody gets it. Just keep a cup of tea near the effects button. We will just think you are going for the cup. Was the 10-cent model. I got my first Moderna last week. No problems. Good. Yeah, Christy, I don't think she felt really bad at all when she got a headache while we were out shopping, but I think that was mainly because of me. They're international. Oh wow, international. I was going to suggest Pete's Patrons Moving Party. Oh, good, Nicole. This brings me to, thank you. It's a moving party. I would not trust y'all around my stuff. It does. It raises a topic though. Question for you guys. Now that King Roy is going to let us mingle about in the land of Roy more freely, so I'm looking to do some events. And so, what are some ideas of things that you guys would like to do? And the first, just heads up, the first thing I'm going to do is for the top tier patrons. It's a smaller group, and so I can kind of make all my mistakes. But no, it's going to be a much more manageable, size thing, so I can kind of get my sea legs on it. Because look, this is the promotions department side of the radio station business, and I never really spent a lot of time on the promotion side because we had promotions people that did that. So it's been a long time since I had to, since I organized an event like this. I think I might try to get Christy to do most of the work. And, and so anyway, so if you have ideas, and yes, Robbie and Janet, if you're watching or listening, I do still have your suggestion sheet with me. Because, anyway, well, I'll just leave it there. So that's going to be the idea. Kick some ideas towards me, and we'll see what we can do. One of the ideas I had actually when I was still at the radio station was to do a trivia night. Because, they do trivia nights at like these bars and restaurants and stuff like that, and they bring in like these professional trivia hosters or whatever. I don't know, like you find out where one of those is, and then we just go, and then I could be like a person that you would like. I would like rotate team to team to team for a couple questions, to be either a help or a hindrance. I'm okay at trivia. I'm better with older trivia. Pop culture trivia now, not so much. Like modern singers, I'm screwed. Nick says, Noonan, that's where they are still around. Here in the U.S., Foot Locker is the direct descendant. Really? Foot Locker is the direct descendant of the old F.W. Woolworth company. Interesting. Oh, Noonan said interesting. Didn't know that either. Why is that the MSM medical reporters not reporting this? We have a niece and her family were just refused treatment by their doctor without any treatment plan. Yeah, I don't understand this. I don't understand what's up with these doctors. Like, that's why I played the audio from that Dr. Peter McCullough. Like, he said some doctors just like ran to the sidelines. And I don't get it. How do you not, like, someone comes in, they're like, I have this thing, and like, how do you not then treat what they have? You're the doctor, you're the expert, you're the one with the knowledge. And then you get like that guy, Dr. Zelenko, who came up with the Zelenko protocol. Like, why don't these things, you've got the three, like here, and this is actually being borne out right now in Florida, because who's been advising Ron DeSantis are the doctors that did the Great Barrington Declaration, right? What's his name? Mulkirk or something? Falkirk? I forget. But he's one of the doctors. And he just did a round table with all these doctors from the Great Barrington Declaration. DeSantis did. And so, like, you can see, like, his approach has been different because he relied on different doctors. Whereas everybody else was saying, do these things. DeSantis said, I'm not so sure that's the best way. I'm going to go with these doctors over here. So I just don't get why you say you got COVID, stay at home, and hopefully you get over it. And maybe that is the case for, 99% of the people. But then you have another group of people that are not going to be able to get better by themselves at home. Why wouldn't you not prescribe them ivermectin? I mean, you send someone home and they're like, I got COVID-19, I got to stay home for 2 weeks. Okay, well, here's the prescription for ivermectin, but, it may not work for you. There really are no side effects, but it may not work for you, but it might. It's got an 80%, what does it say? 81% drop in mortality among those who used it as opposed to standard care. It showed a 64% decrease in hospitalization. And that's really the key. You got to stay out of the hospitals. You go to the hospital, you die. I mean, that's really, I mean, think about it. Most people you know, where did they die? Well, that is not a causal argument. That's a specious argument. But this drug does apparently have some benefits. So why would, again, are you practicing battlefield medicine or are you not? And if you are, then why wouldn't you tell them this? I don't get this. Here's what the WHO representative to the Philippines, I'm not going to even bother trying. All right. Rabindra Abayasinghe. I think I pronounced that right. The issue with the ivermectin is that based on initial study and the currently available data, it is not strong enough for us to advocate the use of ivermectin for treatment of COVID or prevention of COVID. Without strong evidence, without strong evidence is harmful since it would give false confidence to the public. Wait, so it's not going to kill anybody, right? You're not going to like grow a fifth arm out of your head. Like, I guess it would be a third arm. Well, unless you grew the third and the fourth somewhere. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Point is, like, there are no major harmful side effects, but the harm here is that people would have a false confidence. You mean, like, wear 2 masks and you'll be fine? I mean, like, that kind of false confidence? What are we talking about here? I did an interview. It's going to run on Monday with a guy who's just wrote a book called When Politicians Panicked. And his analysis is devastating to these politicians who, and at the end of, I don't want to give, all right, I'll tell you. He says, at the very end of it, he says, essentially, the middle class, we are so rich of a society that the middle class just basically said, I'm going to take a year off. And they holed up in their homes, afraid of the virus, because they could. That's what we did. That's his analysis. You can listen to his breakdown of it. Sounds rational. I wouldn't get it if I weren't so old. I think I have already had it last spring. Used Dayquil, NyQuil, Echinacea, Golden Seal, Colloidal Silver. Didn't know I had it till a few weeks after I was over. Well, Jeremy, you can go get tested for that. And if you did have it and you got the antibodies, then you should donate blood if you can, or platelets, because they need that. It's very helpful. And if you go to the Blood Connection, I think Red Cross now does it too. But I went to the Blood Connection because they would, and this was back in July, and they started testing the blood for you. So it was basically, you could find out you can get a COVID test, basically, the antigen test, while you're donating. So that's what I would do. And yeah, the last time I went in there a couple months ago, and they were like, oh, are you here to donate COVID blood? And I was like, I don't know. You tell me. Right? You got the records. Did I have it? No, I did not. Let's see. Danny, they told her that she gets paid the rest of the day, each day of a shot. X number of hours paid. There's no good diagnostic test for Lyme. Only 30% accurate. They always get you with the billing. Well, right, because big Lyme and big Corona. Got to be a connection. Well, yeah. Because you can't have Corona without Lyme. Sorry. And I swear that was not just all a buildup. All of that I told you about Lyme was true. So the argument that they made on the Lyme disease thing was about the billing because what was it that the insurance companies, and actually Senator Blumenthal, when he was Attorney General in Connecticut, he actually brought suit against these insurance companies because they were colluding with the advisory board or something that was recommending the treatment, the 2 weeks of the treatment. And so apparently it's kind of expensive, if I recall correctly. And They had members of the board that were in these pharmaceutical companies, and then the board created the standard of care. They said it's 2 weeks of this drug and then it's done. So if you went beyond the 2 weeks prescribing the antibiotics, then the insurance companies wouldn't pay for it anymore. But the standard of care was developed by people that worked with these guys for the insurance companies. And so Blumenthal went after them over it. I think they may have gotten it changed. Maybe that's what prompted GemSec. I don't know. I have to reach back out to him, see if he'll now talk again. They talked about how the Lyme disease, the Lyme test is pretty terrible. So even if it comes back negative, you don't know. Pretty sure we had it before it existed over the holidays. I'm pretty sure I had the Rona in November. You can get tested. Be surprised if Ingalls could administer the Pfizer vaccine because it requires special refrigeration. Right, that's true. Although they do have that whole freezer section. I'm not. I'll take that cut of meat and that vial right there. Yeah, go ahead, hit me. Okay. Be surprised if yes, Danny. So here's the thing. I'm okay with the vaccines. I'm all right with that. Now that I've seen enough people get them. Thanks a lot, frontline workers and hospital workers, for getting it first, so I could see if it would kill me. But no. So I'm fine with the vaccine, and I do think that's the pathway forward. But as a limited government libertarian guy, no, not on the vaccine passport. Sorry. Not on board. It's a social credit. Like I see it, you're laying the foundation for a social credit system like China runs that is super dangerous. I do not want to restrict people's participation in the free society based on whether they are willing to take a shot of something that the government requires. Don't like it at all. Like there are so many components about that idea that are just repulsive to me. I'm never going to get on board with this idea of a vaccine passport. Not going to happen. And by the way, I think that's why people aren't really talking about herd immunity, and you never hear people talking about everyone who had it that now is immune. That's why I did that on the show the other day, talking about, you got to add together the vaccine immunity, but also the natural immunity. North Carolina, we're now somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 out of 5 people have gotten both doses, I think is what it was last week. And it's going to, obviously keep growing. A third of the adult population has gotten one shot. So, what is it? I want to say like 2 million. Is that where we are? Somewhere around 2 million. But you got to add in how do you find out who's had it? Well, if we rely on the PCR testing that they told us was, super important data and reliable, and this is our case counts, and so we got to rely on all of this. Well, then that would mean we've had 900,000 plus people in North Carolina that have had it. 12,000 died, but the rest, theoretically, they have natural immunity now. So add 1 million to the total count. And now you're approaching, out of the adult population, right? Now you're approaching, 50%? So at some point, herd immunity kicks in. But the governor will never talk about this. Because I guess they're afraid that if they talk about it, then people will stop getting the vaccines. I don't know. They'll find another way to barcode you. Right. Well, see, and it gets to something else. It gets to the sheepdog analogy. For folks who haven't heard this, I forget the fella's name. He wrote a book, I think it's called On Killing. And he talks about sheep, sheepdogs, and wolves. And he says there are 3 types of people, and the vast majority of people are sheep. And he's not using that as an insult, as a pejorative or anything. It's just an analogy. And by sheep, he means they're productive, they're peaceful, they go about their daily lives, they don't hurt anybody, right? That's the vast majority of people, and that make up society, right? Then you have sheepdogs who guard the sheep. But the sheepdogs are also kind of weird to the sheep who look at the sheepdogs. They're like, that looks a lot like a wolf. And the wolves, they will come and eat us, right? But that sheepdog looks really close to the wolf. They look like the same thing, right? So they're kind of afraid of the sheepdogs. And the sheepdogs kind of act weird. They run around the perimeter barking at all the noises in the night. Oh my God, that's a, oh my God, what's that? Right? Everything is, a threat. And so the sheep are kind of like, well, they're just crazy, right? They're just barking at all these noises. But the sheepdog recognizes that there are wolves, and that's what they're there to do, is to protect the sheep. They would never hurt the sheep, but the sheep don't really know that. They're there to protect the sheep from the wolves. Anyway, this idea that the vaccine passports are going to be required, they're now kicking around this idea. This to me is, you see who the sheepdogs are. Because they're the ones that are like, nope, they're barking, right? And you get a lot of sheep that are like, but we'll be able to go back to school, right? Right? We'll be able to do things again. I want to go to concerts, right? And I understand that. I understand that sentiment. But I got into this, I got into a couple, I think it may have been because I did another tweet promotion. I made that video. Do you remember I made the video for the show as an advertisement? I've been putting it out on social media. Well, I ran it again on Twitter, and maybe that's why I ended up getting a couple of just left-wing nutcases. And one of these women was just terrified of leaving the house. And I told her, then you don't need to go anywhere. You need to rely on everybody else to take that risk and bring you your stuff. So, because you obviously are in no condition to make a risk assessment of walking outside. That's what people are going through. People are emotionally unstable. There are people who are intellectually ill-equipped or unequipped to assess the risk. And you can tell them, look, for people under the age of 55, the chance of catching COVID and dying from it is very, very low. She was actually talking about kids. She was a teacher, I think she was a teacher or advocate for teachers, union. I think she may have actually been a union rep. Anyway, she's yelling at me about how, all of these kids who have died from COVID-19. And I said, well, how many are you talking about? It was 206. And every one of them is a tragedy. Everybody who dies leaves behind loved ones, right? And children dying is terrible. It's tragic. 206, I think was the number she said. 206, that is actually fewer children than the number of children who die from chronic lower respiratory infection. So, okay, well, so I'm supposed to, close the schools for the kids with the respiratory infections too? Because there are more deaths from that. And by the way, kids is 0 to 18. So the younger age group is, the case fatality rate's, much, much smaller. The older you get, the more risky this thing is for you. So, and we've known all of this. This is actually one of the things that I've talked about this guy before. He's a longtime listener, and he just raged against me over this. Said I went full Trumpkin because I was reading the Federalist.com, and I warned you about that, and you're endangering people's lives by telling them about this, by minimizing it. Schools aren't safe and all this. He just went right off the deep end for simply suggesting, hey, the data's showing that the kids aren't really carriers for this. And if they do get it, they don't get really sick and they don't die from it. Just some do, but the vast majority of them do not, right? There are more kids killed in car accidents. You're more likely to die on the way to school than you are in the school. And this woman was just not able to comprehend this information, refused to accept this. So what, we're all just supposed to just die for you and your money? These arguments are just detached from reality. And I don't know how you have a discussion with people like that. You can't. It's irrational. You can't. It's cognitive dissonance, right? I'm already on plenty of watch lists. Sure. I'm fully vaccinated and I wear my mask in stores and to work every day. Why? Why? And you wear your just so you don't get hassled or something? Yeah, Danielle is definitely on lists. It's a backsplash tile. Oh, nice. Okay. They aren't sure enough yet of the vaccine to tell people to let go of the mask once vaccinated, unless it's a bunch of vaccinated folks together. I hate the grouting part, but really enjoy laying tile. Here in Cuomo land, we need to wear a mask. Well, if he gets another dozen accusers, I think you may get that mask mandate lifted. I think that's how that's going to happen. I became eligible, signed up, got the first shot on March 5th. I saw today that Pfizer is still 91%, 90 days out. Yeah, and that's, part of this is, again, like we're all learning. So when people say, well, I don't know if this is, immunity is going to last a long time. Yeah, well, nobody does because we're going to find out. That's the idea. Dr. McCullough was frontline Lyme. Oh, really? That's interesting. I had a sore arm, then I had a vaccine, right? Pete Kaliner stand-up. I have thought at times in my life about doing a stand-up comedy gig. I have thought about it. Oh, yes. You know what? I can get it because I was a smoker. That's true. I've smoked more than 100 cigarettes, so I can get it. That's true. I forgot about that. Vote for a family-type event with a low country broil. It's a low country boil. Not to be confused with the lower abdomen boil. That's a completely different thing. You and me both. I don't want to see this. It's an annual event. Pete is a hypocrite. True. Taking days off, just like he says about the schools. They get you hooked. You build your life around it, and then it's ripped away, leaving you. Now, Ray, I know you haven't listened to every podcast. I know you haven't. What does the icons mean? Just watching. I had it in November. Let's test. The next test we're looking at is Lyme. Why no podcast? What do you mean no podcast? There was a podcast today. Was there not? Yeah, my podcast posted today. Now I got to check. Well, if there was no podcast posted today, yeah, I posted. Fake news. Here in New York, doctors were blacklisted for allowing HCQ. Yeah, like this, and this is what I don't understand. Why does the medical field do this to doctors? Why do they? I guess they're just as susceptible to the herd mentality. A food-related event in general would be good. Okay, so food-related event. All right, food-related. The problem with food-related is that either I have to pay for it or I got to get everybody to bring it, in which case then I'm not eating what you guys bring me, because that's rule number 1 in radio. Sorry, rule number 2. Rule number 1 is you don't date the fans that call in and ask you for dates. Rule number 2 is you don't eat the food that people bring to you in the radio stations. Because people drop off all sorts of food. And it's funny because like every radio station I work at, they'll, whoever gets it and they'll throw it in the break room and they'll just throw it there. And you walk in, you're like, ooh, because like radio station gets eaten very quickly and because nobody's paid well. So like they come in, they're like, oh, wow, what's this food? And then you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Where did this dish come from? Like, who made this food? Where did this come from? And then you start asking around, you find out some listener of, like the alternative rock morning show. And you're like, oh, heck no, I'm not eating this. Going to Florida on Saturday for the week. Good for you, Mary. Pub crawl. See, yeah, there's an idea. You just meet people out somewhere, and this way it's free for me, and so I don't have to pay anybody, right? So I was talking with one of the owners of the new Ray Inn in Burnsville a year ago when I first launched, and we were talking about trading, some advertising for space. This is very common in radio. The problem is I don't have any more space to sell because I'm booked with all of my live reads, all my endorsements, and so I don't have any more space to sell. So I don't really have anything of value to give him anymore. So because then we all got shut down and we couldn't do it. But that was my original idea, was to do something there because it's a beautiful location. I saw on the website. We're actually going to go check it out on one of my days off. I'm going to go so I can write the mileage off. Christy, remind me, I got to write the mileage off when we go to when we go to the new Ray in Burnsville. I also hear the newest infection rates less than 0.1%. It's all very low. Because here's the thing, like, unless you're going to Cuomo people, then most of the people who are young and healthy, whatever, like the variants that come along later, they're not as powerful, and people have some immunity to them because they had the first one, right? Again, unless you're going to Cuomo people and stick them all in, nursing homes. Good morning. I say good morning. Coffee, look around, smoke a cigarette. Range day. I'm not taking you guys anywhere near loaded guns with me. Not happening. But these are good to rule out. Thank you, crypto, and these are good. These are helping me cross them off the list. I actually did that for my bachelor party. We went shooting. Yeah, that's what we did. We went to a range in Gaston County because I was in Charlotte at the time. We went to a range, shot a bunch of guns, and then went to what was the name of that place? Tilted Kilt, which is like Hooters but is Scottish themed. Tilted Kilt. And we watched March Madness because they had all these TVs. An escape room. Don't they limit that though? Christy and I have only done like 2 of those, and I thought that they keep it pretty small, right? Groups of like 3 or 4, I think. I don't know if I could get everybody into to be a pretty big escape room. I thought I had it. Best friend nurse was sure I had it. Got the antibody test. Was really disappointed. Yes, I was kind of disappointed too. I didn't. Trivia is a great idea so long as we use real old items to guess. Right, yeah, and like, so there are all different ways you can do a trivia contest. But there are some establishments, some restaurants, some like bars that would do this regularly. So like I was just thinking, is there a way to like I can just kind of offer myself up as a special guest, and then you guys just, have them run it all, but I can then maybe bring some, I can like guarantee some people could show, that kind of idea. And then this way, I'm not paying anything. If you don't want to pay anything, you don't have to either. If you just want to show up, play some trivia, hang out. But if you want to eat or drink, you can. And then I don't have to worry about any liability, like any of that. There's no trade involved. I just go and say, hey, you do this anyway. Can I bring, if I can bring some people along, is that something you'd be interested in? But the problem is nobody's doing this stuff right now, right? All of this stuff got mothballed for the last year. So maybe I need to go into South Carolina to do it. I was thinking I have some reactive targets. It's called placebo. That's what I got. I did get a placebo shot. It worked very, very well, I thought. For me, at least. Our test is a T-cell test. Don't want to have to pay Pete royalties. That's smart thinking. The right to try will need the GovCode disclaimer. Insert Judge Judy meme here. That's cool. There's a special T-cell. If you haven't, the new book of Faucian Bargain. I did see that. Who is that? Is that Todd Starnes? No. I just saw that. Yeah, that guy, yeah, he's... Yeah. I have not done enough research on him to disabuse myself of my initial opinion, which is he may be, yes, the most dangerous person right now in America. But I don't know that for sure, so I don't want to say it, even though I just did. Okay. Nick, I need to go back to the 60s to be fair to us old folks, right? It's exactly why I'm concerned about the vaccine passports. Yeah, Sumlit claims any danger of mRNA vaccines won't show. Oh, by the way, if you guys are still following that guy, what's his name, Berenson, he's gone completely nuts. And I know the Atlantic just did a big takedown on him, but like I quit following him a while ago. At the beginning of the pandemic, like he was good. He was a skeptic of a lot of this stuff, and I was following him. But now he's gone like nutball, anti-vaxxer, conspiracy theorist. So like he's just poisoning people's minds with stuff. Why are they making people who had COVID get the vaccine? Right, yeah, I don't understand that either. If you had COVID, then you've got natural immunity, in my book. Right. Well, I saw somebody make a really good suggestion, actually, for the vaccine passports. They should make them into like stars, maybe yellow, and we could just pin them to our chest. And this way we could identify everybody by the... Not my idea. ESG scores. I don't know what an ESG score is. Evil ESG score? Would a vaccine passport be a HIPAA? No, it would not. Yeah, and there's a reason for that, Noonan. No, it would not be a HIPAA violation because because it's not disclosing it. You would be the one disclosing the information. That's the idea. Now, but the problem is that they tie this to, it's just like with the credit scores. Like, oh, okay, in China, for folks who aren't aware, China has been rolling out what they call these social credit scores. And so things that you do that please the party, you get credits into your account, basically, your social credit account. And this is what, Google and Facebook and all these big tech companies have been helping China to build. And so if you praise, Xi Jinping and you praise China and you do all these things, and then you get social credits. If you do things that are double plus on good that they don't like you call Xi Jinping Winnie the Pooh, something like that, then you get debited. And then if you get enough debits against your account, then what? You don't get to do things, like buy food. Because you have to have a certain social credit score to get a good job, to get a good apartment, to get stuff in their commie system, you have to have a high credit score. It's the way they reward. So what they've done is they've built, thanks to technology and AI and these idiot anti-American big tech idiots that are just idiots, they've been helping them do this. And so now, what do you think they're going to implement? You're telling me they couldn't implement that here? They're shutting down YouTube sites and stuff all over the place. They're shutting down people's Patreon accounts. They're shutting down... the other day, was it Lara Trump? She's got a gig now at Fox News, and she landed an interview with Donald Trump. Gosh, how do you think that happened? And was it Facebook? I think it was Facebook. Took down the video of her interview. So wait a minute. So now if I interview the former president... We're not even allowed to have an interview with him on the air. So where does this end? I said this on Twitter. What's the limiting principle here? You can't even play audio of Trump's voice? Because I've done that. If you go and pull my old podcasts, pull my old shows and stuff, I've played audio clips of Donald Trump's speeches and the like. So now what? Do they take my stuff down for that? But beyond me, what are you doing? You're literally banning people from the public square because you don't like what they're saying. And to these millennial morons and younger, they're of this opinion that, violence is speech and this safe space. We used to mock this stuff, go into your cry closet. Oh, triggered, all of this stuff. But these people are they're deranged now, and they're in our society and they're in positions of power. And they're running pressure campaigns. And so they're saying, if you even hear Donald Trump's voice, you're creating an unsafe environment for everybody. And so you have to be silenced. This is cultural revolution stuff. That's what it is. This is Mao's cultural revolution. I've talked about this on the show before. Get rid of the four olds. This is one of them. And you go after the teachers, you go after the professors, which they've been doing, right? They've been running them out of the higher education for years now. Non-woke, non-anti-racist, non-left-wing teachers, professors, and the like, right? They go after, conservatives, landowners, landlords, that sort of thing. This is not new, right? Mao did it with the youth 60 years ago. This is the Cultural Revolution. And I believe that's what we're in right now. It's beginning. And as I've said, I say to that that video. It's Pericles' quote, which is, you may not care about politics, but I can assure you politics cares about you. It's the same thing with the Cultural Revolution. These people do care about what you say. And you may not care what they say or think, but they care very much about what you're talking about. And if they don't like it, then they're coming for you in one way, shape, or form. And we will all have, a decision to make at some point as to whether or not you shut up and go along with it or you don't, right? The misinformation campaign by the media and GovCo has been very successful in messing up perception and reason. I agree with that. Stepney's whole family had it all at once. Yikes. The district requires everyone to wear masks, right? It's the mask mandate. See, Ray? I knew it. You did miss a couple of them, maybe, in the beginning. Well, maybe you could listen to them again. You're going to, because that's what's coming next week. Well, that's weird. It showed up just after 5 p.m. That is weird. It posted at like 11:30. Chaudry. Andy's trying to get me to pronounce these people's names correctly. You could have everybody bring takeout. A lot of synergy in using Cuomo as a verb. Happy to upgrade subscription for events. Right. So, and that's the thing. Like, I want to try to make sure that the people who are donating at that level, I mean, there's nothing that I can do that warrants that kind of support. I mean, really, like I recognize like the generosity there. I cannot repay, but I can try to do some stuff to try to make up for some of it. Plus they're fun, they're fun. And it's good to mix and mingle with people and get feedback, find out what people are talking about. What's the word on the street? What's the mood, if you will? There was some woman yelling at a guy in my timeline. I got all mad. There's a guy that follows me on Twitter. His Twitter handle is Body by Bacon. And he said we were having this fight with some left-wing nut job, and he said he used his stimulus check to buy guns and ammo. She said, so she tagged the FBI in the response, trying to alert the FBI that this guy's crazy. He used his stimulus for guns and ammo. And he just kept on saying, like, all the guns, so much ammo. Like, she thought that this was somehow illegal or whatever. Like, it's his money. He got the stimulus check. He could do whatever he wants with it. I will shut up and go along until my kids are grown and out of the house. Then I don't give a darn. Pete's Picnic, annual event at a park. Guest speakers and music. Well, see, so here's the thing I learned at WBT. Yes, Justified is a very good show. Also, a short one is the Santa Clarita Diet. It only lasted a couple seasons, half-hour shows, but cute, we thought. I enjoyed it. Anyway, so one of the things I learned about events is that it's very easy for you to upscale yourself out of the event. In other words, like this. So at WBT, when we were doing, this is where I learned it. We would do the July 4th fireworks show. And over the years, they'd done it for like 30 years or something. And every year, because it was so successful, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And they got to a point where it was so large that they were losing money just to pay for all of the, the tents and the armed security and the stage and the acts and the fireworks. And like, it just, because you keep trying to make it bigger and better and bigger and better and bigger and better. And it gets so big, you can't sustain it. It becomes a money suck. So anyway, not to say that you shouldn't do big events. It's just, you gotta be careful not to go too big too fast. So, but these are good ideas. The picnic, I think we were toying with that idea as well, but it would alleviate the concern of me having to, come up with the food for everybody. So there's that. All right. Did you know that the 331 is Transgender Day of Visibility? So I got a broadcast email at work. Oh, that's weird. I didn't see any yesterday. I'm just kidding. I was aware of it. It was all over the interwebs. Oh, the numbers. Here you go. Last 30 days, download numbers. I know last week we broke the record at 34,000. Sadly, we did not break 34,000. We came in at 33,130. So that's still good, though. It means we're still going. We're averaging over 1,000 downloads a day, which is good. And the unique listeners over that 30-day period, 10,860. So we're still maintaining at about 1,000 a day, or 1,000 downloads a day, and about 11,000 unique listeners over the course of the month. So, well, what's that math? Let's say 10,000 divided by 30. What's that? 10,000 divided by 30. Somebody tell me. 10,000 divided by 30. 10,000 divided by 30 is 333. So 333 listeners a day. That's what we're averaging. Which is really, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's very good. Okay, and I'm looking at my text message. Pete, let's activate you for tomorrow. So they're putting me in. Tomorrow I'll be filling in for Vince Coakley on WBT and WORD. You heard it here first, folks. So that's 10 a.m. to noon live. And I don't know. I wonder what I'll talk about. It's Good Friday. Happy Easter, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. As always, I appreciate it. And as always, don't break anything while I'm gone.